Welcome to I Am Creative, the podcast where we embrace the boundless world of creativity. I'm your host, Hollis Citron, here to guide you on a journey beyond the traditional boundaries of art. Whether it's how we dress, how we speak, or how we connect with the world, creativity is at the heart of every moment. Join me as we explore the endless possibilities, celebrate our imperfections, and unleash our creative potential. Ready to breathe in inspiration and breathe out limitations? Let's dive in and meet our inspiring guest for today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the space. So happy that you are here. So my name is Hollis Citron, and welcome to the I Am Creative podcast. So I just want to dive right in because I cannot wait to have this conversation with my inspiring guest for today. So my inspiring guest for today is Lulu Trevena. She is an award-winning author of the stunning hardcover art and poetic prose book, Soul Blessings, winning a 2018 Silver Nautilus Book Award. She is a woman's workshop leader, quantum healing practitioner, soulful living coach, ShadowWork facilitator, art of the feminine presence teacher, speaker, artist, and mother. Lulu is passionate about shifting the societal narrative about women and age. Lulu, welcome to the space.
Thank you, Hollis. So nice to be here.
So happy that you're here. So a laundry list of things that you do, and I cannot wait to hear about how interconnected and the weaving of everything that you do and how it all ties into creativity. But first, I would love to start with you sharing a fun fact about yourself.
Well, I often get called a mermaid because I've got this, curly red hair. And the funny thing is I moved to a place called Neptune Beach. So I have my male icon where I live now.
That is, so people always called you a mermaid prior to being in Neptune Beach.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. And then by chance, what are the chances of that actually happening?
And I wasn't looking for a place, I was just looking, and I do collect mermaids, so I do have some beautiful sculptures that are mermaid, feeling very unique sculptures, not like the standard one you get at a, like a tourist store or something like that. So I connect to the energy of the mermaid. I connect to the water. Water is often associated with our feelings, and as a poet and a writer, writing is like a feeling in, typed or something. Sometimes I feel like it's my emotion is just sitting there on the paper.
Now I'm curious, was this something that you were called ever since you were a kid, or is this more of a mid-year or adult nickname?
The mermaid?
The mermaid, sorry.
More as an adult. Yeah, more as an adult. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so let's dive right in. So the first official question is, how do you define creativity?
Can I say it's like oxygen?
Yes, you can say anything you want.
Life itself is creative, and often, from a young age, I have personally found that people want to box you into what that means. And the longer you live, and I'm in my 60s, so the longer you live, the broader the term creativity is. I can say, an artist is creative. I can say a software developer is creative, a chef. I can see creativity everywhere, and I do really look for it. I do look for it to nurture me in my own beingness, but I also like it as my own expression, that I can use it, as I said, with being an author and poet, with writing. That feels like a divine gift in many ways. I never used to put myself on a high level of, I've got all the skills of a writer. It's more, to use a word that people might understand, channeled through me. It's like I open myself and it comes through. So, it feels wonderful for me to share. And if it touches others, it's beautiful. And if it's just for me and I, feel this release and this outpouring, that also is very nurturing.
So then I guess to bounce off of that, so am I correct in saying, did you always write? Did you always consider yourself a writer?
So I wrote poetry probably from about the age of 11 or 12. I still have the, what do you call it? I think it's fax paper. It's got the perforated things down the side.
Yes.
I still have that piece. And
Right.
when I wrote, like it felt like, oh, what a relief. Like I wrote something and it was like, oh, there, that felt better out than kind of swirling within me. But I didn't really take up writing, even in high school. High school was challenging in some ways for writing. It felt like I had to follow a prescription way of writing an essay, etc. And that didn't didn't jazz me up.
Yeah.
And I think one year I even got something like a D in English, which I'd not ever got before. And I was like, oh, like really, maybe I shouldn't do this. But then, when I was a young mum, I used to write a journal for mums in a community group in Australia. And so every month I'd write a journal entry of what it was to be a mum at that stage and what was happening in my life. And then when I moved to the United States in my 50s, I started writing for Elephant Journal. And then when we, in that program, they do like what they call an apprenticeship program. And at the end of the program, you actually have to write a piece that gets 10,000 views. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And, I felt everyone else was more skilled than me. There was professors and, high academic people in the group. And I was one of the few that got the 10,000 views out of the group of 22. So I was like, well, maybe I have something there. So then that led me into, writing my first book. And my book, which is here, The Soul Blessings, it was poetic prose, was my first book, and beautiful high-end art. And then to go on and write other books in a collaborative way with the publisher I work with. We do a lot of healing. It's in the healing genre and spirituality genre, and the collaborative books. And then I led a book for women in their 50s a couple of years ago called Wholehearted Wonder Women 50 Plus. I love the term wholehearted and I love the term wonder because my business name is Live Life with Wonder. So Wholehearted Wonder Women 50 Plus felt like the ideal title, and every woman was over 50 and even the oldest in her 70s, and many of them first-time writers. So it was, opening up a new direction for them to share stories and their experience of life.
So really giving them these safe spaces to be able to be expressive.
Absolutely, yeah.
I really appreciate what you said about this, putting people in boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So in my experience, this is what gives people, it makes sense. It makes things structured for people, and it's understandable. So when you put something within a box, and even when you said about your writing, and this happens so often, is that you may not follow the rules of the way that in school they said it should be written, and because you didn't follow the rules, that means you got a D. Or that means you got whatever based off of what that teacher felt like, how you followed along. And I found that it can do a few different things to people. It can either expire the flame, put the flame out within someone when they're excited about it and they're like, well, I guess I suck, I got a D. Or it can be the other extreme where somebody's like, I don't care. You're just going to make me work. You're just going to make me express even more, or you're just going to, there's that rebellious one. So I found it to be really interesting in the ways that it can go. And thank you for pointing that out.
And, I'm thinking back to my younger years, and, art or any of those sort of self-expressive type classes, were kind of always classed as the extra classes. They weren't like in the main curriculum at all. And I felt I came more alive in, like sports and art and things like that, that, it would have been harder if I had none of that in my childhood, even though I don't think I excelled in any way, but I needed that input. And that's probably one of the reasons I chose for, our three daughters to go through the Waldorf Steiner system. I wanted, the whole beingness of a human and the self-expression, and education's not just in the mind, it's the whole body, the whole being. That was a really important thing for me. And I was kind of on the fringe of most of my friends and my family, like what's Lulu doing now? I made choices that I felt were empowering and conscious and wanting, creativity to be the natural way we lived. And so hence, my children had that benefit of going through that type of education.
So what you're saying is you've always, ever since childhood, you've accepted this part of you. You haven't felt squashed or
No, I don't know that I accepted it. I think maybe in my 30s, I decided I could call myself an artist. Like I remember thinking, well, I can call myself an artist. I can kind of call myself whatever I choose, but it took me a while to really own it. Like I could call myself an artist, and I'd done, metalwork and woodwork and ceramics and painting and textiles and clay. I kind of worked in any medium as my own nurturing. But to claim that I was an artist meant you had to kind of sell it, or you had to have an exhibition. And yes, I've been in numerous exhibitions as well, but it still took me a while to say, yes, I'm an artist. So, and I don't know if that's, just some sort of residue from childhood, or even that maybe even, what's the purpose of an artist in a world of, unless they're making money and charging, a lot of money. Like there was probably some entanglement, and I didn't realize it until I decided to claim it. And, it wasn't a direct claiming. It was kind of over time.
Well, I think that's an important word that you just said, is to claim it.
Mm.
And it makes such a difference within our essence, within our spirit, when we actually do claim it. Because it's very easy to kind of be like, oh, yeah, I've taken woodworking classes. Oh, I've done metalsmithing. Oh, I've done that. Oh, yeah, I journal. Oh, yeah, I cook. Oh, yeah, I do this. But when you actually own it and
Mm.
understand that it is an expression, it's an expression that gives you expansion, that allows you to kind of explore, that gives you freedom, that makes you feel good, that brings you joy. Doesn't it feel different in your body?
Oh, absolutely. And the funny thing is, I was at a class yesterday. I just randomly found this class locally and thought, yeah, I haven't done that. It was horsehair raku. And so, we did stage 1 yesterday, and I was listening to the other women, and I've had this at numerous classes when, you go to learn something new, how hard women are on themselves. They're supposed to, they feel they kind of supposed to get it straight away, and it's supposed to be like perfection. And I remember in your introduction, allowing us to be imperfect, in our creativity, in our learning, in our, this is the first time I'm trying something. Like I'm not supposed to have it like, ready for the art gallery or the museum or anything like that. So, yesterday I was reminded again, like people are very hard on themselves. And I heard the teacher say, so are you enjoying yourself? And I could see they weren't. And I was like, I'll put this on, I'll do this. And, like we need to use our creativity that is enjoying. There's so much being an adult that is heavy and, taxing and, kind of crossing our T's and dotting our I's, but creativity where we can kind of blur the lines or, break the box. I'm definitely for that.
And I think in the story that you just shared, the word that popped into my head was curiosity. Too, because when you putting the did you say horsehair?
Well, we had to actually make the vases yesterday, so not the horsehair yet, but
Okay,
it is
okay.
going to be a horsehair raku. Yeah.
So it's that curiosity and trying things and experimenting in however you're working with the clay, whether it's on the wheel or hand building, there's a process.
Mhm.
And I couldn't agree more that when you are the first time trying, people expect it to be perfect immediately. I just had in class today. So I'm also teaching high school art. I'm kind of back in the classroom. I've been teaching for 30 years. I've lots of spaces and places. And so being back in the classroom at this moment, I had the kids do something. They created a series of books, handmade books, and then we made bookcases, sleeves to put the books in. But then I realized that there was a way that would be better to do it. And I knew it would really annoy them, but I was telling them that they were going to have to do it again. So I offered another color paper. I said that this is what I want you to add to it. Instead of just sloppily writing your name on the front. And this one kid, every person that came in the class, he's like, we just wasted our time. We just wasted our time. I said, Josh, you didn't waste your time, babe. It was the first time you did it. So you learned how to do it. So that means that it's just going to be easier this next time around. And we're using our imaginations and we're expanding on it. So nothing was a waste of time. You play football. How many times have you practiced that play?
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with even the word curiosity is one of my, values, that, to have that level of curiosity, and hence I use wonder, because Live Life with Wonder is my business name. Wonder and curiosity is something we're not supposed to leave it in childhood. We're supposed to let it travel with us. And the other thing about curiosity, like, yes, there were people at the class yesterday and not really enjoying what they were doing for the very first time, but also some people don't even do that first step. They don't even take the first step because, well, I might not be good at it, so then they hold themselves back. So, there's both, like, go for it and, learn something along the way and be curious, and don't be hard on yourself, but also don't pull yourself back because it's like, well, I wasn't good at it before, or I've never thought of it before, and I probably don't have that skill, and I can't draw. That was always mine. I can't draw, so why would I call myself an artist? So we stop ourselves with our limiting beliefs, and also the the holding us back from just bringing something that is wonder or awe-inspiring into our life at any age.
So this can happen. This does happen from words that people use, again, from their idea of what something should be that gets placed on us, which is then we hold on to that idea of, I can't draw. I don't have that idea. I can't talk to people. I'm really shy. I'm really, like, all of these labels get placed on us somewhere along the line that we tend to hold on to. So what I really appreciated when we had our pre-chat and when I decided to call this Unbound Women, Age, and Creativity is this breaking free of these limitations. Um, I'm really curious. I want to hear more, and I want you to tell more about kind of like your travels and how you incorporated these different aspects of what you do into what you do. What your path has kind of looked like, of what you've kind of discovered along the way. But I also would love for you to read a poem, if you would.
Okay, lovely. This is the latest book that I'm in. It's called 100 Poems and Possibilities for Healing, Volume 2. And I'm going to read the one called Loving Yourself. Loving yourself. Yes, with all caps on. Not a Hallmark card version, not a quick fix. Not a mantra you say 3 times fast and forget. Loving yourself, and that's in bold and spaced across the page.
Mhm.
Expanded in every way, like it truly deeply matters, because it truly deeply matters. Loving yourself like that's what the whole crazy journey on earth has been all about all along. More than any goal or destination, there's nothing more important than this tender, pure love, this potent, refined love, resting, waiting, circulating within you. And what if all of this, the pain, the detours, and unmarked roads, the distractions, the busyness, was like a game of hide and seek, and you are it. And finding yourself this sweet, wild delight wasn't just the destination, but the journey itself. What if all along you were never truly lost, but circling closer and closer to the truth already inside yourself? You are the one you've been seeking all along. The light that guides you, the sanctuary that soothes you, the answer that has been quietly waiting, wrapped closer than close. You, love, it's always been you.
It's always been you. How long ago did you write this?
This was January.
So you're saying that when you write in this, was it just feels channeled? Is it a lot of thinking for you, or is it that channel where it's just like it just flows?
So my favorite way of writing, or the way that seems to work the best, is as soon as I wake in the morning, I have something there. Sometimes it can be a phrase or two, maybe even just one word sometimes. I have a book beside my bed, and I also have my phone usually, and notes is always handy. Sometimes I use voice notes because I can't write it quick enough for the thought that's there. So I use all those mediums. And then once I have that, my creative process is then I call it my massaging. I massage it, and I, kind of play with it, and, kind of toss it around a bit till it feels, complete, or just baked right, or something like that.
Such a great metaphor. I really want people to hear what you just said, is all of these different tools that you have when you wake up. Because I think people get very stuck that there's one way to do things. I always tell people to have voice notes. Like, if speaking is easier for you, then use that. If writing is easier for you, then do that. If you need to move, if you need to listen to music and kind of move, and then kind of write, or maybe it's just kind of like a meditation in movement, dance, then do that. There are so many ways to do things. There is not just one way. It's getting to actually know yourself.
Mhm, mhm. And, I look at things in my home, and every now and then I'll open a book and I'll find like a receipt or a postcard or something that I've got something written on it. I've kind of slipped it in, and then I find it later and I go, "Oh," and I read it and I go, "Who wrote that?" And then I go, "Oh, that was me."
That was
And
me.
so it's like little surprises. And, even my daughters, over their life in school, etc., before them leaving home, I'd find little drawings in the corner of something on something, like, so, we when we get that inspiration, or that kind of that urge, or that little push, like, to do it. And if you have things around, like, I have a friend who, in her office, she has this little table called her, I think she calls it her painting table, but it's creative. There's, other things besides paint. And she just has it there. So in the middle of doing clients, she's like, I need to just kind of move my energy. And she just goes over, and she's got little, pads of paper, and some brushes, and some water, and some paint, and stickers, and whatever else. So, creating our spaces so they invite us to just play. Play is something I think we need to do a lot more of as we age.
So much more.
And
And
dance.
I really want to highlight that move energy, because I
Mhm.
think that's important for people to hear. Like, whatever that means for you in the space that you are. So get up, go outside, like, get some air. It's I don't know where the weather is wherever you are in the world, but still step outside, breathe. Um just listen to music, go pet your animal. Like, go move, like just play with stickers, like scribble,
Mhm.
whatever it is, moving the energy, it changes everything.
Mhm. Yeah, it does. And, I'm a barefooter. Like, very rarely am I putting shoes on until I'm kinda leaving the house, and, that's another thing, when you're outside, if you can, have your feet bare, and, I still, like, twickle my toes in grass and stuff like that, like when I did when I was a child, and it takes me right back there. Like,
Right.
our body, the somatic memory in our body, reminds us of other times. And, it can just bring in that little glimpse of joy for, a moment.
So I think that word joy came up again.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is going to be a consistent theme, everybody, is that is tap into that joy, play more. I'm still thinking about when you said, which is true, like adulting can be heavy,
Hmm. Yeah.
and we need to lighten our load. We need to lighten our energy. We need to, because when that gets bogged down, our expression gets halted.
Hmm.
Our creativity is, we're not as imaginative. Our communication skills aren't very good. We often want to go inward. We get foggy in the head. There's a lot that kind of, it's a domino effect.
Hmm. And, we kind of live from here up. This is what I call the adult way of life, and hence, in my healing journey, we often got told that's why men wear a tie. It separates them from the rest of their body so that they stay in this kind of mindset kind of thing. Whereas women have this more fluidness of our body, and so, we don't tend to wear this type of thing, but. Um, that the more we're actually in our body, like truly in our body, and one of my practices with the art of feminine presence is, like literally being in my womb space. Like, I'm talking to you, but my attention's not in my head or my voice, and it is a fair bit in my heart, but it's also in my womb space. So, women have this beautiful power that the more they kind of take up that space, that inner space, the more potent, the more powerful, the more creative, the more juicy, all the words that kind of associate with the womb, but we can use that for creativity, especially after menopause. We're not wanting to create life, but we can create anything else because we still have that potency um, as women.
So thank you so much for starting to go into more of the things that you do, and what you offer to people. Can you explain more what you mean by when you just said, when you take up more of that inner space?
So I guess I don't teach women who have never done anything. So if you're a meditator or you've been to yoga or you've done um, other kind of spiritual practices or ecstatic dance or anything like that, that there's your body in the space, but there's also something happening inner. There's this inner rich world. So when I say take up your space, it's more for a woman to realize, okay, I feel my heart, because women feel that very easily. They can say, oh, yes, I'm right in my heart. My heart feels, activated, connected, open, whatever. But if we just drop ourselves down inside our body, deep into our womb, and when we drop down, we drop ourselves back, because this energy is much more masculine in the world. Women are receivers, our actual anatomy is about receiving, and the men is more, forward movement. So when we drop down, when we drop down, we also kind of drop back into our spaciousness, and imagining, our womb or our pelvic bowl like a bowl. So we kind of take up the whole, beautiful surround of this space. We're not just looking for a point, like I got that point. We're looking for the spaciousness. And that's where the juiciness and everything comes from.
Oh my gosh, do you hear that, everybody? Yes, and there's such a great word too, juicy.
Yeah. So did you drop down? Did you
I
drop?
did. And
Good.
what I noticed is because I tend to be as creative as I am, I often can be in this space. So,
Mhm.
and when I became aware that when you said the masculine is more forward and the feminine is more back, I was like, oh, like that was a little bit of a ding. And I kind of sat back and felt that my shoulders went down too.
Nice, nice. Yeah. One of my friends that I've well, she's a friend and a coach, and I've done coaching with her, and she at times would tell me to do a head dump. And it's only recently I realized, that sort of music, that's kind of this banging of the head sort of music that we
Hmm.
rock.
Hmm.
It's literally sometimes we just got to shake that stuff out of our head, you know, sweep it out the door. We tend to, yeah, we collect and we hold on and we compartmentalize and we put things for later. Like sometimes we just kind of got to let it flow out. So yeah, I was just thinking when you're saying, I was thinking about this head banging or head dumping. So that's another thing for women. If you're kind of really caught in your thoughts, like what can you do to kind of say, I'm releasing, and let your head be a energetic,
Yeah.
movement.
And then even if it's like, oh my God, like put your arms up. Like I am a proponent of screaming also of the God, why is it jumping out of my head? Someone in high school, she used to say, do you want to primal scream? She's like, do you want to go down to the football field and let out a primal scream? And here we are, 17 years old. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, she was so ahead of her time. And there is something to be said for it feels good. You need to get it out because you're right. We collect, we hold in. And ladies and gentlemen, that's everything. When we hold this stuff in, whatever it is, our beliefs, these things that people have said, things that we want that we don't think that we're worthy of, and can we really do that? And all of these things, it holds and we just get tighter and tighter and tighter. And we make ourselves sick. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that goes along that is not a good thing.
Hmm. And sorry, I haven't been speaking to your male audience. So to the men, I'm hoping you get some of the juicy points for your partner or loved one, but
Yeah.
also knowing that we all have this creative energy in us. It just manifests slightly different in men than women, and that's for their own journey. And I wouldn't speak for a man because I don't know his full journey.
I would love to hear because you also mentioned your own healing journey. If you could share with us how creativity has really helped you to heal emotionally, spiritually, and or physically.
Mm. And definitely has healed me on all those levels. I can say that. I think I would class myself as a seeker. I think I've been a seeker since a young age, and so the human existence or the human journey or what is possible, the human potential of our life, like that has been a driving force for me. And as I say, I've done numerous types of artistic exploration from textiles and wood, clay, metal, etc., paint. And I was just recalling that the first art class I really remember was batik. When we batiqued, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen that around lately. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I think there's been times in my life where I've used art when I'm stressed. So I'm thinking, I'm pretty stressed, I should go and do something. So it's been a motivator or a little clue for myself, this would be good for you. So it's definitely been like that for at least 30, 35 years. As I've become an author, one of the main things about becoming an author, besides when I first realized my words had some sort of message for people or, were received well or whatever, and not that I'm saying you have to have it that well received, because sometimes it's just your own journey. You know, it can be you just write for you. You could just journal for you. You could write to people in your journal and never send it. You know, like there's many ways to write. But once I realized I actually had always wanted to write a book and then started becoming an author, it was around my 50s. So, you know, my mum died in her mid-50s, and I was just starting something. So that was a really good thing to hold on to. It's like, oh, I can do something or be jazzed or juiced up about something that I want to do in the world. So that was very important to me. A side note: my mum's mum, my grandma, she died at 104. So my mum in her mid-50s, 104. So, you know, like I had this kind of,
Wow.
these are the matriarchal women in my family. So yeah, once I started writing, I realized I had to write. Like it's not really like a choice anymore. It comes, and I write, and I've been in numerous books, and also I write on Substack now. So, you know, I can't imagine ever not doing writing. As far as anything else artistic, you know, I will keep exploring. Um, there's something about the movement of hands that I've heard it spoken before about, this kind of rhythmic movement of hands and how it actually connects with our lower chakras. And so I know when I am doing something creative, it feels balancing in my body. So not, and you know, I could say this is a little esoteric, but it's also very physically felt. Like I feel lighter. I feel less funky in the world. I feel like more expanded. Like I feel I take up my whole space that I could take up and maybe a little bit more, you know. So, you know, in that esoteric or spiritual way, I think when we are radiating our own joy, that actually is seen outside of ourselves. Like we don't have to state we're doing anything. People kind of get the energy of that, the frequency, just the feel of who you are is slightly different. So yeah, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of those aspects, I definitely can feel that, you know, creativity has been part of that journey. And in the last couple of years, after leaving a 30-year marriage, I think that has also been a thing that I know I can kind of anchor myself into, using this in whatever I explore or touch or do. I want it to come from a creative place. It's not like a should or a have to anymore. It's more like, how do I live my life as soulfulness? How do I live it as the projects I involve myself in have to have a fair bit of passion in them, you know, a passionate pursuit of life. I'm sure there's been many a poem written about that. So yeah, I know that creativity has been a part of my healing journey and probably the core of it.
So, is this anything that you ever did with either your mother or with your partner? Was there any kind of any of these art expressions that you use, or or writing? Did you do this with either of them? I'm curious.
Yeah. With my mother, I did learn how to sew with my mum. She also was she would repair books. I don't know what you call that, book binding. So I remember, you know, watching her and how that would happen. And then for my birthday and my 50th, I actually invited a whole group of women and we did a book binding class, made our own little book. So that was really nice. She was my mum was a crocheter. That never really took my fancy. But there was something about watching someone make something from nothing that was always, you know, there for me. With my partner and my children, there was definitely times we did creative type things. We did some glass blowing all as a family. We all made Christmas ornaments for our tree. there was another time we did a huge big painting, and all together, all 5 of us, I have 3 daughters, we created this piece as a family piece. So yeah, there's definitely, I was the one that would bring the ideas in so that we created something together. And I think everyone always benefited. I've got a beautiful photo of one thing, and we're just all laughing so hard. It still touches my heart. When
Mm,
I look at it, we're just laughing hysterically, because we're just painting and putting hands and whatever. And yeah,
it's
so
great. Yeah, I was curious. The curiosity in that is one, where do we kind of learn from our parents, if that's something that's presented, and given the safe space to be able to be expressive or to become curious in those spaces.
mhm,
And then with the people that we're around most in our lives, is it somebody who supports what we do? Is it someone who is willing to do it with us? Is it someone who is of a completely different mindset and doesn't understand? I know people who their partners, like, still kind of don't understand like what they do or why they do it, and
mhm,
they've been together for 30 years. Like, it's that kind of thing where it's like they just never felt a need to participate in
mhm.
that aspect of things. My husband is a fellow creative, so I can't imagine. But yeah, but it's not uncommon.
My youngest daughter, she's in college, and she's in her 3rd year. And when she's got back-to-back essays, she pauses for 2 hours, and she crochets. So she's got my mum's crochet idea. She just knows that, like, I can't just stay up here. It's just too much for too long. So I hope my other daughters, I know they've done art classes as adults, etc. But yeah, I hope that they take that creativity into as many areas as you can. And even if you're not actually using paint or clay or any of those things, like, your home is like a palette. I find that that's my creative, um I don't know, not outlet. It just interests me to change my spaces, every
Mm.
season, and make them fresh and make them inviting and interesting. And so yeah, your home, or a dinner party, or anything, we can just bring creativity in, daily living.
Well, I think what you just said with space is, like, so important. It's just moving the energy
Mhm,
and getting rid of the clutter and having things not be stagnant, and changing routines, um, uh, going a different way to wherever you're going. Whatever that is really important. And that is, yeah, bringing when you bring people into the space and you're having this celebrations, that's just something in itself. Is when you
mhm,
said dinner party, it's like celebrations, having people come in, and there's this energy, this movement where people are coming because they want to be with you, and you're going to partake in eating and drinking, and it's joy.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I
Mhm.
want to learn a little bit more, about what you did prior to this. No, you went to hairdressing school. Is that correct?
Yeah. Did I tell you that? I couldn't remember I told you that. So, yeah, I was originally a hairdresser in Australia, and, I'm sure you've caught my accent now. Um, that Yeah, I really liked to understand why we wanted to be different, like why we like to change our hair and all that. Like, there was something from a young age, I used to think about that quite a lot. And so when I started my apprenticeship in Australia and started at the training school, that I realized it wasn't really that creativity. It didn't touch that so much. At times it did, but not enough for me. And I ended up working for a large hairdressing company, and we put on hair shows. And when there was models and fashion and choreography, like, that got closer to what felt like the full picture for me. So I really enjoyed that. Um, And then when my children were young, I became a yoga teacher. So then that kind of touched on to my own spirituality and the curiosity and the seeker part of me. And then, learning things from the yogic traditions of, doing artis and chanting and all those things. There was another part that got infused into me that I don't know that we'd class them as creative, but they touched parts of me, the sound touched parts of me, and, movement and things like that. And so, yeah, they were kind of my like my stepping stones, if you like to say. And I've always had a love for wood. I don't know what it is, but something about wood. I seem to, buy or be drawn to things that have that some sort of the part of the earth that feels like warmth, and I feel that in wood for some reason. That's what and I'm just looking around my home, and I'm just like, there, I see that. And I also love original things. So I always, when I, and I've been a world traveler, when I buy something, I like to know who made it. I like to know their story, and even when people gift me things, I like to know what made them buy it, because they often, well, they either make it or, they'll buy something kind of unique. I love the story that goes with pieces. I'm not the person to go to a big store and just buy a canvas that's been printed. I like the original. And I like to give original, like I like to do that as well. So I don't know, there's something about the story that goes with it. So hence, there's my writing again, the story that goes with the art, and, what was the artist feeling, or what made them, create that. And I have a beautiful sculpture, and the man that sculpted it, and I have a few of his now, he told me it's a woman kind of leaning forward and sort of flat on the ground. And he told me it was a story when his father had passed. And so that even made it mean more to me, than just this woman laying on the ground, So yeah, I love that part of what creativity brings to me, but what has led the person to create it. That's of interest.
When you hear from people these stories, it is like you're like, oh my god, I never would have known that. That makes it so special. Or, oh, that happened to you. It's about this connection, this connection that you either gain by hearing what this person has said, or you could be like, oh my god, me too. Like, I can relate to that, or it really touches my heart. Yes, yes, yes. It's really connecting with people and hearing and seeing what they create and why they create it. What's really cool about you in having this conversation with you is it sounds like ever since you were a kid, you've had this curiosity about why people do what they do and why things are the way they are. Very philosophical. I was very much, I could sit with my dad for hours talking about the planets and just behavior. Like, why are things? I'd always be like, why? And he'd sit and have a conversation with me about things. This curiosity that just kind of drives you to ask questions. Even when you were doing hairdressing, it's that, why do people wear the hair that they do, and why do they want to switch it up? And it's just all these components of people. It's so cool.
And, when I was hairdressing, I remember, I would call myself an introvert. When I'm one-on-one, I tend to be a slightly more extroverted, but I tend to be more introverted. And when I was hairdressing, the owner of the salon would tell me to kind of talk to my clients. And I wasn't good at I don't know, I call it the chewing gum or the bubble gum conversation, where you're kind of saying, so what are you doing this weekend? And, oh, that's nice. And who's playing football? And, like, I was never really good at that. But the clients that I loved talking to would, tell me about music that they were listening to, or, concert they were going to, or, what they were reading or something like that. They were the the connection, once again, you're saying the connection and the story of someone, that's what, kind of enlivened me. And I used to watch it enliven them too, who wants to constantly talk about what you're doing this weekend and, every time you go to the hairdresser. Like, I'm pretty sure they don't. So, yeah. I was just laughing to myself about that. Yeah.
Well, then it's like, how are you? Fine. How are you? Fine.
Mm-hmm.
We always knew we were in trouble when my husband's parents, when they were alive, we'd say, how are you? And they'd say, fine, fine. We're like, oh no, two fines. Like, that's not good.
They cancel each other out. Fine.
They do. Exactly. No, something's wrong. Oh my gosh. So I can't believe we're getting to the top of the hour already. This is crazy, Lulu. So I'm going to kind of ask a question, which is going to sound a little repetitive, but it's not. So why do you think creativity is important?
It's important to me for me to know me, and it's important for me to touch joy as often as I can.
It is important for me to know me and to touch joy as often as I can. How poetic is that?
Yeah, thanks for writing that down. It just came out.
I will send that to you. I will send that to you. That is when, ladies and gentlemen, stop thinking. Like, stop thinking so much. Because that is when these things, as we're talking and as we just allow ourselves to talk and have conversation and maybe stumble and whatever we do, then these jewels come out.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, I didn't realize that. Or, oh, that was pretty cool. I didn't know I was thinking that, or I could talk like that.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I just realized about creativity, and I didn't mention this before, but, I have this deck of oracle cards, and, they have beautiful art, and then they have, a message on the back, and then a deepening process. And it took me a lot longer to do the cards than it did my book, in the way that when I completed the set, and there's 44 cards in the deck, they just didn't feel right. And it wasn't until I kind of put the deepening process, and there's creative things as the deepening process, like from going outside to, contacting a friend and having a conversation, to painting, to writing, and so I didn't realize until we were just talking that, that my deepening process are creative process. I thought they were kind of like a internal, like seeking exploration, but they're actually creatively led. So, my beautiful artist, I need to mention my beautiful artist.
Yes,
So she's Laura Bowman, and she's an Atlanta artist. And the cards that she created for me that I have, they're just beautiful. So, I love her art, and her process as an artist, I love the story she told me about. She used to be a landscape artist, and then, she kind of got these messages. And then so, I said, oh, so the landscape of your art has changed. And she was like, oh, yeah, because she now is no longer a landscape and does more these angelic and feminine kind of energy type paintings.
So much of it is I believe truly in allowing for transformation and allowing these changes, and these, maybe they could be extremes, or maybe they're just simple little bubbles and waves of ways that things change, but that's the way we grow.
Mm-hmm.
Is by transforming. And definitely the deepening processes that you offered, they allow for exploration. They give concrete. People need tools.
Mm-hmm.
If people do not have, if they haven't done it before, if they feel lost and they're like, I just don't know how, I don't know how, which could be a mantra that people say, I don't know how, then this is a way of being able to say, go outside,
Yeah.
connect with a friend, the little morsels.
And, that's why I called them moments of transformation, because if you remember any time in your life, any of your viewers, something happened and then somewhere there was a moment and something else changed. Like it happens in a moment, and it could take decades at time, but then it happens in a moment. So they felt so aligned to be called moments of transformation, so that we can have a moment here and a moment here. Like, yeah, once I finished the 3 times of writing the deck, it felt like, oh yeah, exactly. They're just moments of transformation. Yeah.
So Lulu, how can people connect with you?
Okay. Well, I do have a website. I'm not sure, you're probably going to drop that somewhere in the link.
It's above, it's below, it's but
yes.
say it, please.
Yeah. So my name, Lulu Trevena .live. So that's live. And then I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I'm a Substack writer, so you can see me at Substack. My writing page is called Pearl Luster. That's my maiden name, Lulu Pearl. And yeah, I'm available for, chatting with people, connecting with people. Of course, I mainly work with women, and I'm looking for that women of an age over 50 still feel, their vitality in their life, and, have a lot to bring forward, a lot to still explore within themselves. And I'm definitely hoping to change the societal narrative about women and age. And I'll be 63 in a couple of months. So, yay.
Yay, happy early birthday. And I
Thank you.
want to celebrate with you. And I know this is something that's coming up soon, so it's not like people are going to be able to attend this now, but I want to celebrate with you and have you tell people what your launch on Thursday is.
Oh, thank you. Yes, yes. So I live in Florida, and we have a new group starting, spiritually minded entrepreneurs. So women that are actually doing their own work, but also doing beautiful work in the world. It's called Gather and Grow, and it's designed for women of every age group, and bringing together, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, as well as allowing each of them to bring to the community, so that we're collaborating, we're not in competition, and that we meet with each other, we share with each other, we grow with each other. So hence the Gather and Grow is gathering and then sharing our gifts with each other. So yeah, I'm looking forward to our launch on Thursday.
Well, congratulations. And I only wish you so much goodness.
Thank you so much, Hollis. And I really loved when we met in this other creative group that we're in. And I think creatives definitely need to step up now, and be as bold and unabashedly so.
Yes. Yes, please. That is the point of these conversations. We need to just step up, and we need to express, and we need to be ourselves, and we need to connect. And just like I love what you just said, collaborating, not in competition.
Mm-hmm.
Understand, everybody, we are not competing with other people. You are being you. And when you know who you are, going back to your poem of love, of self-love, when you
Mm-hmm.
truly love who you are and know who you are, there's no competition.
Mm-mm.
None.
No.
So before we say goodbye, is there anything else that you feel like you want to say that hasn't been said?
Well, I've definitely enjoyed this conversation. It's been wonderful, rich, and
Me too.
for your viewers, find people, find local people, find people that you can connect with, and ask some curious questions of people, because some people in your life, you may not know that they also are doing things, and they wish that someone else was sharing them with them. So yeah, be bold in your connections, and be curious. And yeah, find a community. You can have your community in many areas, and make good, strong community. I think that's very important.
So important. Well, again, Lulu, thank you so, so much for
Thank you.
being here and
Mm,
having this conversation. And again, good luck on Thursday.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, truly, we are so grateful that you are here. We know that you could be anywhere and be doing anything for with your hour, and so happy that you chose to be here with us. So, if today's conversation resonated with you, please like, follow, share, spread the goodness. All of this that was said, please, we need this connection more than ever. Reach out to Lulu. You know you want to reach out to her and be able to get into her world and see her books and her cards and everything that she offers. So, and remember, if you're feeling stuck in your personal or professional life, you can also check out my Get Unstuck membership at IamCreativePhilly.com, because as a creativity doula, I'm here to help you bring your ideas to life. So until next time, explore the possibilities, express yourself, and take time for you to express yourself by doing something just for you, ladies and gentlemen. So wherever you are, I wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening. So goodbye, everybody.